Hi, welcome back to Year 10 English mini lessons with Mrs. Kraling. This lesson deals with characterization. Characters are the people in a text. Most texts include a cast of major and minor characters with different functions and roles. The main character is called the protagonist. Usually they're the good guys, but not always, but the main character, protagonist. The bad guy is the antagonist, the person who's there to mess everything up. Minor characters can take on different roles. Sometimes we have the anti-hero who takes the trickster or informer role. So you have Loki in the Avenger movies, for instance. You can have messenger characters whose main job it is to bring news, introduce new ideas, communicate between main characters. Often in a novel you have a confidant, a best friend, or somebody who listens, and that gives the main characters an opportunity to show their thoughts and feelings. Sometimes these can also be known as sidekicks, but use confidant because it sounds fancier. And sometimes characters are there to be the embodiment of a point of view or attitude. That just means they represent all people from a particular group, or everybody who believes a certain thing. For instance, there might be a Nazi character who is meant to represent all Nazis, a school teacher who's meant to represent everybody in education, a jock who's meant to represent all jocks in the school. So often those characters can be stereotype characters. Now we look at characterization, which is the methods a writer uses to reveal the personality of a character and what their importance is as well. And as we learned with Macbeth, these methods include what a character says about himself or herself, what others say about the character, the way the character interacts with others, in other words, their relationships, good and bad, and what a character does. And we know from looking at Lady Macbeth that sometimes what a character says and other people say about them can be quite different from their actions. People can wear two faces or more. So it's important to look at all of those facets of a character. Now, when we come to filling in the characterization table, taking notes on characters in a text, your first job is to identify the main characters as you read. Create a copy of the table that I've given you for each of the main characters. Then go through and fill in the key details about their role, their appearance, all those kinds of things, the basic information. As you read each section of your text, the chapters that have been recommended for the week, make a quick note of anything important you notice about the main characters. You might like to do that on a piece of scratch paper or on sticky notes or something like that, so that you can refer back. The idea is though that you would read so that you're not losing track of the story and then go back and collect quotes and everything. When you finish reading the section, stop and think, what did I learn about this character in this section? You can do that for each of the main characters. Some sections you might learn heaps about a character, particularly when they're first introduced, and in other sections as the story goes on, maybe only one or two changes or important things come up. You choose key quotes and events to record in your table. So if a character says something that just really sums up what they're like or their attitude towards something, collect that quote. Put it in quotation marks, pop it into your table. Make sure you always include what page number it's on so that you can find it again. Sometimes what you find is not really a quote that sums it up, but just something that happens that changes things, or the way shows how other characters might see them. And you can just write that in your own words. Then if you notice a specific technique being used in your quote or example, you want to identify that. So for instance, if the character repeats themselves a lot, you can put repetition down for a technique. If a character you find out something about them through conflict, through the way they clash with other characters, or through a letter or something like that, note that down too. We'll look more into techniques next week. Your aim is to create a profile of each main character, showing their thoughts and feelings, what they represent, and their role in the text, so that when you go back at the end of this, no matter what topic you get, you can go, this is the answer for this character, and you can compare how the characters relate to each other.